The Transport Department in Gauteng says it's losing millions of rands every year because of vandalism. Over 30 million rand has been spent in the last year alone on maintaining, protecting and repairing traffic signals in the province. The Gauteng Roads and Transport Department, or the MEC spokesperson, in fact, Lesiba Mpya, joins us now to talk more about this. Lesiba, very good evening to you. Good to have you on News at Prime. So what sort of vandalism are we actually talking about here? What's being done to these signs?
Thank you very much, Tembegile. Good evening to you and to the viewers. What has been done to the, particularly the infrastructure that is the traffic signals across many of our intersections is that they have been cut at the bottom so that criminals can gain access to the copper cable, which is literally an electric conductor. And much as we can say about the controllers, which don't really cost much, but we've seen that our infrastructure is a target as a result of the copper that we use in the traffic signal. So we have seen a trend over the past 2 years, and actually the 30 million is actually quantified on the study that we have done, the assessment that we have done over the past 2-year period. So we can arguably say that per year we're losing about 15 million rands. But to date, what has cost us to actually replace these traffic signals, amounts to around 30 million rands.
And what you're doing in some areas, for example, is turning stop signs, am I right, into four-way stops, am I right?
Yeah, look, we're forced to do that because of the cost of replacement. And literally that then compromises the traffic flow. Our assessment from an engineer's point of view is that you do an assessment in terms of saying what is fit for purpose. Because in an intersection as huge as 100 potgieter, you do an assessment and you clearly cannot put a stop sign there because in terms of the traffic flow, in terms of the number of vehicles, the duration at which a vehicle will queue in a traffic demands of you to have a signal intersection management as opposed to a stop sign intersection management. So much as we are resorting to that as a temporary measure, we must say that it compromises and inconveniences the road user.
And just on what you've described as the conversion of these signalized intersections into four-way stops, there is a risk, isn't there? You drive around Johannesburg enough times, you realize that, unfortunately, we also drive among people who don't necessarily know what to do then. You see, even when there's a power outage, that not everyone stops when they're supposed to. So that increases the risk of collisions, etc. Who then takes responsibility when what was supposed to be an area with different signals or a different kind of stop now becomes a four-way stop?
Yeah. Look, in terms of a qualified driver from the K53 assessment, you know very well that what is required of you in the absence of a traffic signal, you treat that as a stop sign. Even if a traffic signal is there and it's not functioning, you treat that as a stop sign. But there has been a number of incidents where our traffic signals have been knocked down as a result of reckless behavior and driver responsibility. Now, that then there is a process because in terms of the law, a person must be held accountable if they damage a traffic signal. So in terms of taking responsibility, the road user that causes an accident that causes the damage to infrastructure has got to be held accountable. They must face the full might of their consequences.
It's not a full-time fix, though. So what are you going to do in terms of making sure that you're not rowing backwards, if you will, where you fix the problem, you go back, the same copper has been stolen, and now you have to repair and replace once more at great cost, seemingly?
Yeah, at great cost indeed. I can tell you that the copper, the street value of this copper, in terms of the 2010 prices, it was around 1,000 rand to about 1,400 rand per meter. And one can only imagine what they go for in 10, 12, 13 years or 14 years later. So indeed, we fixed this at a great cost. But we must also say that in terms of technology, we are still very much limited. We are not yet advanced to do away with traffic signals in order to avoid this illicit trade. What we have been doing, as a matter of fact, there is a process, a pilot that is led by the Department of Science and Technology, exploring alternative energy sources. This time around, they've gone the hydrogen cells used to actually provide alternative power. And as a matter of fact, when they called our engineers, most unfortunately, that intersection was within the auspice of the JRA. So I can confirm that there is a process that is looking into alternatives as opposed to copper and aluminium. But that process, much as I might not be able to give detail, I can confirm that there is an alternative process that is underway.
Is there a solution on the table that would involve moving away from copper or metal altogether, because that's what is being stolen and sold?
Yeah, we like I say, already government is moving a step ahead to actually explore alternative energy sources. But we're also in consultation with research institutions and other stakeholders. And we must say we have not yet come up with a revolutionary method to overhaul, the migration from copper to another alternative energy source. But I think that this pilot by our sister department should be able to take us a step further, so that we avoid, a situation where our infrastructure is going to be targeted to criminal activities, and we can only call upon the public to actually play their part in active citizenry, while we are also deploying visual and physical assessment on a daily basis, and as well as deploying law enforcement agencies, that those who are doing this barbaric criminal act, they must definitely be brought to book.
What does active citizenry mean in the context of this problem?
Well, active citizenry says that we most probably live with these criminals. We are calling upon the public to report any suspicious incident, that they might pick up. And of course, we are not doing this to expose anyone, but we are saying that active citizenry demands of myself if I pick up an incident where infrastructure is being destroyed. And I can tell you, Tembegile, that this illicit, activity is done by people that are well resourced. When we do an assessment after a traffic signal has been destroyed, you would not imagine that we actually pick up that heavy artillery has been used, the TLBs, jacksaw hammers and so forth. So we are saying that much as, we live in communities, we most probably do pick up a syndicate or a criminal activity, sources that might be able to assist government to actually get to the bottom.
And these millions of rands, Lesiba, pardon me, that you're spending on repair work, etc., who is that money being paid to? Where do they flow to?
So we do have a combination of service. We do have outsourced services where we have contractors, but we also have internal, officials that definitely do. But what we can tell you is that when we go and source the material, when we go just outside of the labor and so forth, the material itself is actually costing